disgusting! Hi. Let me know if you're here. I got the soundboard working. Alright, so Sebastian's here, Max here. Waiting on everybody else. The McDonald's here. Leah said she would be here. Jordan's here, Haley's here. Awesome. Haley, is that Kermit the Frog? I love Kermit. You putting on sneaks? Gosh, you game. Love Kermit. Muppets for life, baby. Alright. Kaylee, McDonald's, Camden, Leah. ¿Dónde está? Sucks sitting in my chair all day. I used to run around the classroom, be kind of crazy. Gain some weight. I get some exercise. Alright, we're not doing anything too crazy today. We're not doing any math. We're just thinking about math. We're not doing math today. Just thinking. If you're going to take notes, only take notes about what you thought and what made sense to you. Otherwise, don't take notes. Please do not take notes ever. Where are the rest of these people? Oh. Dude, we have a Frank Zappa fan? One of my students likes Frank Zappa. Alright. Another call for attendance. And then we'll get going. I don't want to wait. Kaylee. Missing Cameron and Evan McDonald. Camden and Leah. Hey, Kaylee. Yeah, if you're here, let me know, guys. It is Band-Aid, man. Cut myself putting together a door last night. Got these crazy cats I'm trying to introduce. Two rescues. Wild night. Part of my finger now. Alright. Haley's here. Anybody friends with Cameron or Evan or Camden or Leah? Yeah. Send them a text message, tell them to wake up. In theory, on Wednesdays, and this is what I did last spring, my classes kind of pick their time to show up. And if you guys want to do that, we can do that for the future potentially. You guys don't have to be up by like 10 if your other teachers aren't making you be there. Rad, thank you. I'll just wait a little bit. We're not doing much today. Hopefully you're good to go on bulb and everything's working. If not, that's fine. If you want to, for now, just like write a Google Doc if you want to write anything for your portfolio. That's totally cool. We'll get you set up soon enough. Today we are not doing any math. We are just thinking about math. And it's been a long time since you've actually had to think about math. Most teachers, they give you like 100 problems or whatever, and you'll follow the steps and do whatever. You won't have learned anything, but you'll have memorized the steps by the end of it because you've done it so much. Same thing with like note taking, right? You're going to take notes, that way you can better memorize it because writing it helps you memorize it. And then you'll never look at them again because you don't study. You don't know how to study. And because you're writing, right? You're constantly going like back and forth and all that, right? Write that down, write that down! You're gonna not learn as well. You're not gonna understand what's going on. You're just gonna have these notes. And so it makes it kind of useless. So I'd highly encourage you not to write notes. Unless you're like wanting to write down like, oh, this is what made it click for me. So you can later write it down in your portfolio. So what do you write in there? So any of the stuff we've been doing, the 7 + 7 = 2 problem, the 4 numbers I gave you the other day of which one doesn't belong, right? Write about that. Your thought process, not just answers. Don't just write down like, oh, 16 doesn't belong because it's even. You know what I mean? That's fine to include that, but that's not the point. The point is to write down and come up with like new different ways of thinking and explain those reasonings, right? Explain your thinking. So the excellent one is like 7 + 7 = 2, right? It's good to talk about like how you went and thought about that and why it might be more useful to think about that instead of 7 + 7 = 14. You know, write about your experience. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a complex problem, and we're not going to do math. We're just going to think about it. I'm going to talk ourselves through it more or less. And what I want you to do at the end is make up your own problem and do the same thing. Practice that and then write about your experience. Oh, Camden's here also. If you if something clicks for you, like all of a sudden, oh, that's what's going on, write that down or make a mental note, right? Okay? That way you can write about it in your portfolio and talk about it. Cool. Cool. Right. If anyone knows where the McDonald's are, or Leah, that would be great. Let me send Leah an email since she emailed me. Let me send her the YouTube link. And then we'll get started. We don't have much to do today. We'll probably get out early. Maybe not with a little bit of a delay right now. And if you're having trouble, like you're watching but you can't comment, sometimes that happens. Email me, do whatever. Oh, what's up, Cameron?
I'd like to make that email I want you to check out here from Laney.
Got it. And I did see that. Fantastic. Okay, so right, Cameron, is Evan on as well? So yeah, we're not doing math, we're just thinking about it. I'm gonna give you a weird looking problem. It's gonna be crazy looking, don't worry. Okay. We might have even talked about this a little bit yesterday, I don't remember. All the days kind of blend together. I have to get better about taking notes about what we've already talked about. All right, so here's the problem that we're given, okay? We've got parentheses u, that's a cursive u, -6, parentheses squared, -32 = 0. That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Say it to anybody, and even if they're a mathematician, it's going to mean nothing to them. What you want to do is look at this and make it make sense. And sometimes the best way to do that is to say, look, I don't know what this is saying. It's saying a bunch of junk, -32 is 0. Hi, Evan. All right, a bunch of junk, -32 is 0. So I'm just going to call this a bunch of junk. Let's just call it something, right? Right here. Something. This is how we're going to read it. Something -32 is 0. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Something -32 is 0. Now, when I say that, I bet that makes sense to you, right? If I say parentheses u -6, parentheses squared, -32 is 0, I bet you have no idea what that means, right? Neither do I. But if I say something -32 is 0, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about something? We're taking a harder problem, more complex problem, and breaking it down. Something -32, 0. What does that tell you? Yeah. Oh, hi, Leah. That something could be 32. Exactly. Yeah. Why must it be 32? In fact, it's not could be. It has to be. Otherwise, this is false, right? Because if something was 5, then we wouldn't get 0, right? Right. Something minus 32 is 0. That means that something must be 32. Well, what was something? It was this, right? It was this junk. So this junk must be equal to 32. I'm going to write that. This junk right here, that's what we called something, right? All that must be equal to 32. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't get 32 minus 32 equals 0, right? It has to be. We're not doing any math today. We're just thinking about it, right? Bunch of junk minus 32 is 0. That bunch of junk must be 32. So that bunch of junk is 32. Just writing it down. That bunch of junk is 32. I'm going to ask you how you feel now. When I ask about that, I'm looking for a percentage. Do you feel 100% good? Do you feel 50% good? 75%? Don't expect to be 100% good because you're just seeing this for the first time. Okay. If you feel 100%, you're more than welcome to say 420, 69 IQ. Blaze it. You know, whatever you're feeling, right? Gucci gang. If you're not feeling 100%, give me an accurate percentage. Don't feel bad. Math is a lot like an optical illusion. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So for instance, the FedEx arrow. Once you see that it's in the logo, you can't unsee it. If you didn't see it before, it's not because you're stupid. Because you just didn't see it yet. And so I want to help you see it. And if you're 75% of the way there, like Cameron is, right? Thank you for the feedback. That's good. That's really good for your first time. Not everything's going to be as obvious. Sometimes it takes some highlighting, right? And I can highlight it more if you don't see it quite yet. So something minus 32 is 0, so the something must be 32, right? I rewrote the something is 32. They're one and the same. Give me some feedback, guys. I know there's a little bit of a delay. Haley, are you feeling 100%? Leah, how do you feel just popping in? Evan? Mac? Sebastian, Camden. Oh, we feel it. Give me a percentage. This is the sound I bust out when I feel like I'm... Hello, Bueller. Jordan, Haley? Anybody? Give me some feedback. How do we feel up to here? A bunch of junk minus 32 is 0, so that a bunch of junk must be 32. 80? 70? I apologize for the delay, guys. I know most of you guys are just waiting for me to ask the question on stream still. Okay, so Haley or Leah, we're not doing any math. We're just thinking about it. So if you get an equation like this, a bunch of crazy stuff minus 32 is 0, right? So what I'm saying is let's just call that a bunch of junk minus 32. Don't read it. Just call it a bunch of junk. A bunch of junk minus 32 is 0. Well, if a bunch of junk, something minus 32 is 0, then I know that that something must be equal to 32, right? Because 32 minus 32 would be 0. So all of this, whatever it is, all that crap must equal 32, right? For this to be true. 32 minus 32 would be 0. So I know that this is true. Has to be, right? If it were if this were anything else other than 32, I wouldn't get 0. So I'm just writing that this thing right here, that thing right there must be 32. Whatever it ends up being, it must be 32. That way when we subtract this 32, we get 0. If that's better, let me know. We're being lazy with our math here. We're just thinking about it. We're not doing PEMDAS. We're not doing any of that nonsense. We're not thinking, or we're not just following the steps. We're thinking about what we're doing. We're not doing anything. You don't need to write this down. You don't need to understand it. There's no quiz. There's no test. I just want to know if you are smelling what I'm stepping in. Okay. So we know whatever this is has to be 32, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't subtract 32 and get 0. Have in common 16, 43, and 25. They're all part of that problem that we had yesterday. That's what they have in common. All right, so this. We know that this must be 32. Okay, great. So we solved the problem, right? Well, now we have a new problem, right? Now this problem is asking something squared is 32, right? So now the something is the blue part. Something squared is 32. So what number times itself gets us 32, right? Well, we know that 36 is 6 squared, right? And we know that 5 squared gets us 25.
25.
Right? So something squared gets 32. Well, 32 is in between 25 and 36, yeah? So the number we're looking for to square is like 5 point, I don't know. They add up to 7. Evan, you're going to have to explain that one to me, but not right now. So 5 squared gets 25. That's too small. 6 squared gets 36. That's too big. So it must be between 5 and 6, the number we want to square to get that, right? So that something must be approximately 5. Do wavy lines. 5 point blah, 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 right? So this must be about 5. Because about 5 squared is 32, right? How do we feel with that? Something squared is 32. Well, there's no nice number when you square it that gets 32, right? Because 5 is 25, 6 is 36. It must be somewhere in between. So something squared equals 32. It'll be about 5 point whatever, right? We're just estimating. 5 times itself, a little more than 5 times itself is going to get 32. How do we feel about that? Give me a percentage. 100%.
You what? Wow.
One plus. Oh, their digits all have 7. I get what you're saying, Evan. Nice job. Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about that in algebra yesterday, but I know other classes found that out too. That's one of my favorite ones. Glad you're still thinking about it. Imagine kids actually thinking about math and not just memorizing it. Or failing to memorize it, right? What's up, Chase? Why are you back? Guys, give me a percentage. How do you feel about this? Something squared equals 32. That something must be 5-ish, right? Because 32 is between 25 and 36, and I know that 5 squared is 25, and I have 6 squared is 36. So what squared will be 32? Well, something in between 5 and 6, right? Give me a percentage. What are we thinking? I'm getting plenty of feedback from McDonald's. Leah, how do you feel? Jordan? Haley? Are we feeling better about this one? I missed your IDK earlier, Haley. I'm sorry. We're using this idea of a bunch of junk minus 32 is 0. So a bunch of junk must be 32, right? So I wrote that. The bunch of junk must be 32. Well, now a bunch of junk squared must be 32. What number squared is 32? Well, it's somewhere between 5 and 6. I don't know. I'm estimating. Haley, 90? Oh, wow, that's really good from IDK. Eads, 95%. Oh, Leah with the hundo. With the hundo.
Disgusting!
I don't know. There's no context of when she used all these old sound bites from last year. There were inside jokes that are no longer shared by my new students. If you know Vine, then you're good, but all you guys are probably too young. All you know is the TikTok. I gotta get on there. Alright, so about 5. That's really good, guys. 95% sure. That's really good. Okay, so, and if you're not feeling that way, that's okay. About 60%, 70% now, that's fine. First day looking at it. So something is about 5. This whole thing inside here is about 5, right? So I'm going to write that down. Instead of calling it something, I'm going to call it by its actual name. Right? It's u minus 6. You can write the parentheses or not at this point, because all it is this, right? The thing inside here is about 5. Cool. So now we have a very easy problem on our hands. That's rad, that's rad. All right, so now we have a very easy problem, because now, ignore the parentheses, right? You know, all it's saying is something minus 6 is about 5, right? So what does that tell us? What does that tell us if something minus 6 is about 5? Right, here's our something this time. A bunch of junk minus 6 is about 5. What does that tell us about it? Again, we're not doing math, we're just thinking about it. We're just thinking logically. And I'm just writing my work so it's easier for you to see what I'm thinking, right? Illustrating. We're not showing steps, we're not doing algebra, we're not doing PEMDAS, we're not moving stuff around, we're not doing any of that. 11, right? It has to be 11. The something has to be 11, right? First of all, the something has to be bigger than 6, right? Because if it's 6 exactly, 6 minus 6 would be 0, right? If it's smaller than 6, like 2 minus 6, then we're negative, right? But it has to be something bigger than 6, right? 10 minus 6 would be about 4, so 11 minus 6 would be about 5. So the something is about 11, right? 11-ish minus 6 will be about 5-ish, right? 11-ish minus 6 will be about 5-ish. So something must be 11-ish. Well, our something is just u. So if this were algebra class, we'd say, well, then u is approximately 11, right? It is when we're counting the number of them. This kid must have enjoyed the last couple of days. How do you feel about that last one? Leah? Guys, I'm loving the feedback. This class, because we have no homework and no quizzes, us talking is incredibly important. You talking right here, like I'm not going to give you like, oh, there's a check mark. You made a comment on YouTube or whatever. And so that was me getting feedback from you, right? And you're going to get points. No. But at the end of the day, like, this is part of your portfolio, kind of, right? Like, I was here with you. We had a conversation about it, right? Conversations are what you're getting graded on. So giving me this feedback is great. Good. Again, would prefer percentages, right? Because good could be like, 70 or 100. But you don't have to say it again, Leah. That's fine. This is the first day looking at it. Don't feel bad if you're not at 100. Right? Something minus 6 is about 5, so 11 minus 6 is about 5. 11-ish. A little bit more than 11. Oh. I'm going to back up and go over this again like a dead cat, okay? I don't like doing a lot of problems. I like doing one problem and really understanding it. Okay. Something minus 32 is 0. Well, that means this something must be 32, right? So this is 32. Oh, no, totally fine, Leah. Totally fine. This something must be 32, yeah? Right? Has to be. Now, this something, when we square it, we get 32. Well, about 5 we figured out, right? Well, if this equals about 5, then u must be about 11, right? Because after you subtract 6 from it, you get about 5. How do you feel? How do you like them apples? So u is about 11. I can just look at this problem without having to do any work, and I can just know that u is about 11. This has to equal 32. This whole thing right here would have to equal, like, about 5. You know, in between 36 and 25, right? When we root it. So about 5. Which means this has to equal about 11. You're doing semester 2 algebra without doing anything. You're just thinking about it. Give me a percentage, guys. How do we feel? Haley, Kaylee. Leah, love the feedback. Thank you so much. Cameron, love the feedback. Evan, how do you feel about this stuff? Jordan, haven't heard from you in a little bit. You okay? Bastion, are you still Gucci? Gucci gang? 100%. Good God. Mac, how you feel? Again, there's no reason to lie, right? You know, if you're just tuning in and you're playing, you know, like Fortnite or something instead of watching, don't tune in and be like, oh, 85%. Like, no one cares. Right? Just be honest. Yeah? 89, Haley? Okay. 100%. 95. 88. 95 Gucci. God damn. Okay, okay. All right, that's really, really good. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a problem like this. Don't use division because division can be kind of weird. Make a problem like this. Don't solve it. Don't do math. Just think about it. See if you can logic your way through it, kind of like I did. Try that out right now. Make up your own problem, whatever it is. You know? Make it up. And see if you can logic your way through it. I want you to write about that experience, what it was like, and kind of how you went through logically. Okay? Put that on bulb. Do you have to do it? No, nothing. You don't have to do anything in here, right? Everything's made up, the points don't matter. But if you want to learn and understand and get better about thinking about math, I think this would be a really good one to write about, even better than the last two. Okay? If you want, yeah. What I would do is I'd put it on bulb, or do it on paper and then put it on bulb. And if you really don't like it, you're like, this isn't very good. Then just don't publish it. Just leave it on there as a draft. So, like, for instance, you go to my bulb right now, I have some drafts on there. Not mine. Aaron's. All right, so if you go to my thought problems, and again, you can make your own folder, call it whatever you want, or make a different, you know, you can put these in different folders. I don't care. Yeah, this is a draft. It's not published, so no one can read. Right, this one I called it a draft, but I think I still published it. But yeah, if you want to, do it on paper. Like, I took pictures of my work. Oh, I didn't start this yet. So this is what I was working on yesterday. It's actually this problem. I wrote a bunch about it. Right? About how a kid might do it in a regular class, and then you don't have to do it, obviously. But, like, I did this, right? Something minus 32, that means that something must be 32, right? It's about 5. You're right. Actually, exactly 5. Right, and then I said something squared equals 32, so this must be about 5. That's cool. If you're having issue with that, for now, do a Google Doc, right? And then we can transfer it over later. Honestly, I don't care whether you do it over bulb on or not for your portfolio. The good thing about bulb is that you can leave comments, right? And I can leave comments for you. That's what I like. But I can also do it on a Google Doc in theory. Right? So then I said, again, ignore this. I was doing an exact answer instead of doing an approximation. Like, we did about 5, right? This is about 5. Then I said that, well, 11 minus 6 would be about 5, right? So it's about 11. That's about 11. Because this was about 5, right? Root 32 is about 5. So 6 plus about 5, that'll be about 11. Yeah, if you want to check this out, it's up on mine. You can read through it. But you don't have to do as much as me, okay? So make up your own problem. Try to logic your way through it. Don't use PEMDAS, right? PEMDAS would be like, oh, add 32, root both sides, add 6. And that's great if you know what to do. If you don't know what to do, you need to be able to think your way through it. And even if you do know what to do, right? You memorize the steps and school's working for you and you learned math that way, right? That's fantastic. But what if you forget, or what if you get a weird answer, like about 5? You're like, maybe I messed up, right? This will give you confidence if you think about what you're doing. Think about what this means. Something minus 32 is 0, so the something is 32. Something squared is 32, so that's about root 32 or 0.5, or 5 point something. And something minus 6 gets it's about 5, so it's about 11, right? Turn yourself pretty quickly into geniuses. Do this in your head, you know? Are we cool? I'm going to let you guys go early. Is that cool? Are we all good? We Gucci? We know what to do? We know what to try out and practice? Again, you don't have to do anything. The more you do and the better quality it is, though, the better your grade in the class will be. And we'll have a conversation about that pretty soon. We'll do like a little test run conversation this Friday-ish. Okay? Are we good? Are we Gucci? Give me some feedback, guys. We know what we're doing and what to do. All good? Red, red, red. Everybody's here today, yeah, because we got Camden. Yeah, Camden tuned in for a little bit. Camden, haven't heard from you at all. Not like you need to, otherwise you're in trouble, but like, are you good, Camden? Mac? You and Camden all good? Alright. I'll see you guys later. That's the bell. Bye, everybody. I love you. Take care.